Every child is trained by their parents for a world that is one generation out of date. Raised by boomers, educated by boomers, apprenticed by boomers. And surprised by how much casual racism played a huge part in my upbringing. This is why a rapidly changing world requires lifetime learning skills and critical thinking more than memorizing outdated systems and facts that end up being appended. I don't think this necessarily used to be the case. Maybe not much more than 100 years ago the lessons taught from generation to generation were much the same. Times are different now, it's hard to keep up with the pace of technology and society. This is only a modern phenomenon. Think about it. Any time before maybe 1700 or 1800 and almost all knowledge passed on by elders was accurate, useful. No wonder society has less respect for old people nowadays, they are forced into obsolescence. Not true. Not all locations advance at the same pace. Very possible to be raised more than one generation out of date. Think of people born in rural countries that have advanced quickly. Also, possible to have very progressive parents. Unless you live in the South, then you'll be 2 generations behind. As the entire South, itself, is already 1 generation behind prior to parental modification. But I remember hearing something like this years ago. I was a teenager once too, you know. Yes, but you weren't a teenager in the current decade. And it's true, the times, they are a chongin. Not my kids. I make sure to stay as current as possible with anything they might need to be successful. I've had enough previous experience to know that you can't rely on previous experience. Good parents don't only impart knowledge onto their children, but also the ability to interpret and take in knowledge, too. This in turn means that children can learn the world as it is, not as it was. No way. There are so many teen moms that totally vibe with their kids. Because they are still kids. It actually sucks to see. Happy medium? People. Pop them children out at 20 so you relate to both sides. This is why you give them general guidelines and make sure they can tell the good from the bad. Try to stay relevant for 15-ish years, then it's their gig. Good character is timeless. Work ethic, kindness, curiosity, compassion, self-confidence are invaluable no matter what time period you live in. I sure hope I don't. With all I've seen, the lesson for my kid will be, everything changes, learn to flow and find your solid ground. Technology alone will uproot society every few years from now on, so being able to learn and relearn most things is crucial. You think that is true because you only see the things that have changed. You aren't aware of the multitude of things your parents taught you that you use every day without even thinking about it. But there's no possible way to raise your kid without you being from your generation, so that's as in date as you can get. Unless you just want your kids to be raised by television, in which case, don't have a flocking kid. The vast majority of the things you learn growing up aren't generational. And I really don't feel like the world I have applied my lifetime of skills to has changed all that much since I was being raised either. What's really crazy is that this is fairly new. Go back a couple hundred years and most generations' lives were almost identical to their parents. In my first year at university to become a teacher, I was told that we try to predict what the world will be like in 12 years and design our curriculum around that. Some people are thinking about